Spanglish Edition.
Boom.
Muy buenas y bienvenidos mi gente a esta la edición número 336 de Fantasy Deporte. Hoy 11 de julio del 2024, transmitiendo directamente aquí en vivo. Hoy en vivo. Este es tu servidor, el Manny. Y mira, tengo un codelincuente aquí que últimamente está sacando la cara por el JP que se encuentra por allá por Corea. Saludos, mi hermano, que te vaya bien por allá. Vuelve el intern, el agente 007 Rob Torres.
Hey, 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 que es la que hay, Manny. Gracias de nuevo por la invitación. Contento de estar aquí contigo en el hermoso estado de Florida, donde aquí estamos a las 9 de la noche, se siente a 82 grados con un cielo precioso, que es la que hay.
Súper aquí en el calentón. Estamos sudando la gota gorda. Mira, acomódate el microfonito este aquí. Okay, so this is a special one. We got a special guest in the house tonight, yo. That's why we are going Spanglish here. We're going totally Spanglish here. So I just want to put a very upfront a disclaimer that my English is not very good looking most of the times. So, being said, a special episode brought to you by El Nino de Detroit, the only man that does a hole in zero. El Tío Frank.
Yo.
What is going on? Welcome, my man.
What's poppin', Manny? Thank you for having me. God bless you and Rob, my amigos. We're ready to chop it up tonight. We're ready to do it big. Looking forward.
Yo, Manny, but who's Frank?
You know, I don't know. It was, I think, didn't we met him just in the street? No way, man. Frank is the real deal. But I want him to tell us about himself. Who are you, Frank? Tío Frank. He's Tío
Uncle Frank. Uncle Frank here.
Oh, Tío Frank.
Tío Frank.
Come on, man. Come on.
All right. Yeah.
Come on.
I'm Frank DeLisi. Yeah, I'm living here on the east side of Orlando. Got my man Manny. Our sons play baseball together. Our families are friends. It's my amigo. You know, and I'm a lifelong sports fan. I love every sport. I love talking about it. I love doing the fantasy. I love with the kids. You know, when we talked about that, Manny, about how fun that is. But yeah, I'm from Detroit originally. Moved down here to Orlando about 30 years ago, if hard to believe. But yeah, let's go Lions. Let's go Pistons. Let's go Red Wings. Let's go Tigers. That's how we do it. And
let's go Chrysler.
Right. There we go. But yeah, thanks for having me, Manny.
Of course. It's a pleasure to have you here today in Fantasy Deporte. And that's good. That's good that you're a fan of Detroit. I can't wait to hear, what your point of view is as far as fantasy players in your Detroit Lions team.
All right.
That's right. So, did you took your vitamin T today?
I did, man. I'm ready to go, bro.
Your vitamin tequila? Hell yeah, man.
Well, whatever else we drink.
So tell us, Frank, how many years of experience you have playing fantasy football?
So the league I'm currently in, the main league, I'm in two leagues, but the main league goes back to 2005. Quick side note, I actually played, I was telling Rob earlier, a season in 1993 with a bunch of guys where literally the commissioner had to get the box scores off a newspaper and send a letter out to everybody by Wednesday so you can make your team, and send them that by Friday, because there was no Thursday game back then, right? So it was not as fun as it became, right? But yeah, this league I'm in, I've been doing that since 2005, and I'm in a work league that I started in last year as well. It's a little less money than the big league is.
So wait. Take me back to the newspaper fantasy. I've heard that before a couple of times. It sounds like it was fun, instead of like being able to get everything at fingertips.
Right.
You had to go through the work of finding the stats.
Yeah. So you had to. There was books you could go to the store and buy that were fantasy books, and you would read them and try to figure out. but injuries and things like that would happen in training camps. You would only get what you can get on ESPN. Yeah. So it wasn't like you really knew what was going on. A lot of guys drafted guys with blown knees that year. I mean, and the other funny thing is when you didn't draft a defense, you just drafted a defensive player. So sacks were at certain points, interceptions were at certain points. If you got a guy like Dion that returned punts, so it made that a little bit different. It wasn't a defensive team; it was a defensive player, and it was it was just sacks, interceptions, tackles, and I think returns.
I think we can safely say that Theo Frank is an OG.
So OG.
Yeah.
So you had how many players in your team? Like 20?
No, back then I would. I mean, dude,
like
you're
like,
talking 30 years ago.
Like 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs.
Yeah, it was kind of standard other than that defensive part, right? And so it was just that you picked a defensive player, and it was something that it was the first time I'd ever done fantasy, so it was a total kind of just you picked who you thought was good, not for need. You didn't really know what was going on.
What I'm wondering is, you guys are getting your stats from the local newspaper,
right?
So if you're playing with guys, out of your state or maybe out of your county, because, back in the day, those reporters or the stat keepers used to pat those stats for the local players. I'm wondering if there was if you ever saw some deviations from the actual, from newspaper to newspaper, or had any issues with that.
That's funny you mentioned that. We had to pick a paper that was the paper we were going to do, was Detroit Free Press. That was the official stat paper. And really the only controversy in that league ended up being
the paper. So you were waiting on the paper boy.
The paper boy
was the man.
And you had to calculate all the stats, right? And so And again, this was based on this guy who was the commissioner reading a book on how to do a fantasy league. And the commissioner ended up being a kind of a shady guy. He ended up actually not paying out the winner that year for a year and a half after that. So it was overall it was that's something. I had always heard about rotisserie baseball and what that was about. This was kind of similar in that vein to me, but it was something good to try.
Oh, Frank, that hasn't changed. I still have, I still know commissioners that, they still owe me money. I'm talking to you in Arizona, boy. You know who you are.
Look, where's my beater?
So, Frank, how many championships have you won?
So, Rob, I have won 0 championships in 20 or 19, 20 years of playing. I got a couple second places, 2 thirds, 2 fourths. Just last year in both leagues, I was in first place leading the whole season until the championship games got cold at the wrong time. So, a little bit of bad luck for me, but even the Cubs won a World Series eventually. So, I'm sure I'll get there. It's a new season every year.
Speaking like a man from Detroit,
right?
But Frank, so what keeps you going, man? What after 20 years, what is it that excites you every upcoming season?
Yeah, well, we always raise the stakes. So the current big league I'm in is, it's at 250 buy-in. So it's, that kind of makes it interesting, makes you pay attention. You can't just mess around. I'll always sign up for the Sirius Radio for August just to make sure I'm getting all that fantasy stuff while I'm driving to and from work to try to get some of that deeper second, third level stuff, right? Everybody knows the kind of top level stuff, but it's really, who are you going to get in the later rounds that are the guys that are going to make the difference?
Wait, I want to help you out in here, Tío Frank. You should start listening to Fantasy Deporte.
All right. The next time I come on, I'll speak in Spanish.
Yeah, Frank. Life goals.
Yep.
So I thought, so what's going on? I thought we only interview experts in here. This
no champs.
Frank, he said that he hasn't won any championships. What's going on?
Bro, as I've always said, you can study, you can read every article. There's always an element of luck. And as Frank kindly said earlier, people from Chicago, people from Detroit, Mets fans, we're in a bad run. So it happens. But one thing I've learned in my, 41 years of life on Earth is that there's nothing better than experience. So, the the fact that Frank has been playing fantasy football for 20 years definitely qualifies him as an expert in my book.
Thank you.
Wait,
God bless. Rob.
Wait.
That's definitely earning.
Yeah, Rob's on the Christmas card list for sure this year.
You know, hey, and I'm gonna give you these two. Ah, some Kenny G. Look at him go. Look at him go.
There we go.
Oh my God. Oh, Frank, watch out for the studio, man.
God.
You break it, you pay for it.
All right, we good?
So okay, so we're good. We're then we'll qualify him as a champion. Okay, cool.
All right.
Let's keep going. But you're 41 years old, dude. Damn, killing it, bro.
Like bad wine, I only get more expensive.
Dude, you're like a un cañón disparado. So, okay, so Frank, let's get down and dirty here to help out these fantasy football fans that we got listening today in Inglés, papito chulo. So, tell me about the league that you've been playing recently. PPR, non-PPR.
Non-PPR. We were PPR about 5 or 6 years ago. We've had some changes since then. We're back to non-PPR. So, 10-man team, snake draft. And then the other league I'm in is an auction, which is the first time I ever did an auction was last year. That's the work league I'm in.
Okay. You guys do defense and kickers?
Yes.
Both.
Yes.
OG.
Defense and
Like
kickers.
defense, like the
one quarterback, two running backs, a
the-
flex.
but just the defense, the unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the unit.
Yeah.
You don't go crazy
No.
like back in the day.
No.
I personally have a website called Project 2024, where I rally against having defenses or kickers in any fantasy league. I think it's a waste of a pick. It's totally random. It shouldn't exist in fantasy.
Hot take.
Wow, man. I mean, you're getting all crazy now here, man.
Now, what do you think of 2 quarterback leagues? Rob, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm for it.
I'm
Yeah.
for it. I'm for anything that makes the game a little bit more interesting, and it gives you a chance to correct those mistakes that you have on fantasy day, on draft day. I mean, sometimes on draft day you might have a beer or two more than it should, and you're missing a quarterback or your quarterback gets hurt. That gives you a chance to hit on a second quarterback and maybe have somebody on the bench come in. So, whatever makes your I play at all types of leagues. I like having, 4 or 5 leagues every season where I play, and I try to have them all be like PPR, non-PPR, double flex,
mix
no
it up.
defense, mix it up. I think it makes it more interesting, and you see it's a lot more fun at the end of the day. So
Right.
I would encourage everybody to, try something new. Go to Café Citron.
Oh, wow.
Dance a little bit. Enjoy some life.
That's a non-paid advertisement. But Rob, you came on controversial today. What's happening, man? No defenses, no kickers. Like I won a championship because the kicker I was going against missed a kick. Can you believe that? So I mean, it can go either way, right?
Yeah. Well,
but
that's how the NFL is, right?
I
People lose
know,
on kicks
I know.
every week. So
But listen, you can actually, kind of put up your chances by looking at the weather, by seeing if it's a dome, by seeing if it's going to be cold. So there are factors that, go into it as a kicker too. It's not like it's not like that, it's like some kind of strategy, So, okay, I get it. So, but talking about strategy now, what are your thoughts about these kind of like the new kind of the way to draft, which people are now going mostly wide receivers in the first rounds.
Right.
Like there was a couple of years where people just running back. There was like 10 running backs already in the first round.
Yeah, the first 15 years I played fantasy was that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's going on now? What are you?
I personally.
What would you personally?
Yeah, me personally, I just do not think you can beat those stud running backs. So if I got a top 6 pick, I am very likely taking running back. And around 4, 5, 6, you start thinking about the receiver. But every time I've seen them done that, it's just not paid off for me. Definitely, if I got a pick in the middle, late, now I'm looking for that top receiver. I will not take a tight end in the first round ever again. I did that Jimmy Graham in 20 whatever that was, and wanted to jump off a bridge after that. So, but yeah, I mean, a lot of it depends on where you're picking. But man, the running backs are so few and far between that you can depend on. I just feel like you load up because there's just an endless amount of receivers that can get some points for you.
Absolutely. I think like also the fact that it's PPR or non-PPR has to do a lot with it because, you know, that factor into the points per reception, right?
Right.
So it all depends on the league. I've just like seen it more often now. People that actually get to the finals of their championship, they have a big percentage of the same wide receivers. So like the wide receivers are actually doing the work on fantasy teams nowadays. And man, I'm telling you, it's scary, right? Like, you know, like,
and then what's your guys' thought?
I want to pick up a running back. I want a running back. You know what I mean? Like,
I know, and I've never had the first pick. All those years of playing, my top pick I've ever had is third twice. And I took Maurice Jones. Yeah, exactly, dude. I mean, yeah. Pour a drink out for your homie here. Bro, I've never had better than the third pick, bro. And I picked Maurice Jones-Drew the year he fell off the map, bro. So this guy used to be the all yards guy. He was and I finally got that high pick. I took that guy. I don't know if that was 2012, but that was the year he basically hit like 800 yards. That's why I put my third pick on. So yeah, that part of, I think, me not winning the championships, I've been looking at the stats in our league. You know, the winners typically got them top 2 picks. Yeah. I mean, that's, you know, it's.
So. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add to what Frank was saying, that, you know, draft position, and I would add knowing the behavior of the players in your league actually, you know, makes a big difference.
Yep.
You know, it's everybody is now going to a 0 RB, you know, draft strategy where they don't want to draft an RB in the first 2-3 rounds. But if you can sag instead of zig, that might be an advantage for you. Yep. You know, like Frank said, there's only a few running backs that will, you know, go ahead and, you know, be ahead of the competition. So, you know, it's interesting. I think that's where experience, you know, having years playing in your league, knowing who your league mates are, and what position you're drafting in makes a big difference. You can have all your tiers and everything, and then that draft night, you have your draft strategy. You think you're going to get like X and Y player, and then it all goes to shit. It's about who can handle the pressure, who can actually adapt, who can actually read what the room is going for that day.
So, interesting question for you two I wanted to ask. Derrick Henry going to Baltimore. So every year I would always want that guy on my team because I know he was going to get the rock 20, 25 times. He needed those first 12 just to soften him up. Is this guy going to get the ball enough in Baltimore? Where do you draft this guy? Because it's Derrick freaking Henry. So that one's got me shook because I can't see me passing on that guy in the 3rd round or something like that, 4th round. That would just be that. I don't see me doing it.
If I may, I mean, has Derrick Henry ever played with a quarterback like Lamar Jackson?
No, that's what I'm saying. This is all uncharted territory here.
In the red zone, who's going to get the ball?
That's what I'm saying.
My bet is that, you know, Derrick Henry, obviously up in age, he's never going to put up the numbers that he's put up before, but
is he a value pick back in the draft? Maybe
I think still a good pick in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round.
Right.
I mean, it all depends how those running backs are going. But if I have Derrick Henry if I draft 2 good wide receivers and he's my first running back off the board, I'm happy.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But he is a bit of a wild card just because of what you said earlier. He might not see the ball that much in the goal line, and that might hurt him for fantasy points.
ADP number 21. Before him, Kyren Williams and Devon A-Chain. So we're talking about the second round. The second round, it looks very rich in running backs. So if this strategy that we're talking about, in the first pick with a wide receiver works out for you, then you're looking at, you can pick any of these guys. I'll be happy with Devon A-Chain, with Kyren Williams, with Derrick Henry. I will actually pick Derrick Henry above those guys.
Right.
Still, there's a little bit of value in that second round. What the ADP says, Mike Evans at 23.
What a beast, that guy. He carried both fantasy teams for me last year. I got that guy in like round 7 or 8, and he just was a freaking beast.
Listen to this stat. 1,000 yards in all 10 of his NFL campaigns, including at least 13 touchdowns in 3 of the last 4 years.
It's the mailman, bro. He's
a reliable wide receiver.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you ended up getting a number 1 wide receiver in the first round, just like CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, second round, pair it with Mike Evans, I mean, you're starting with the right foot in here.
Right.
It's looking pretty for you. So I would say, I do like Derrick Henry. I just see so much value in those players like Mike Evans that it's just Devontae Adams is right there after Derrick Henry. Those are the ones that I want. But I love Derrick Henry. I love the team. He's a great fit. Everyone keeps talking about this guy runs too hard. He's going to get injured forever. Blah, blah, blah. What the guy does, he just runs you over again.
Right.
So, he's, for me, in my opinion, he's a reliable runner. And Baltimore is gonna pound.
That's the thing. Is
he's gonna pound people?
But he's gonna get the reps there. That's the thing. Is I think we gotta. That would be to me what you have to weigh when you draft him.
I'll tell you what, he's gonna get the goal line touches for sure. I mean, Lamar Jackson maybe steals a couple of those.
Was
but
Dobbins back?
You can. Derrick Henry just moves people.
I know.
He just runs over people.
Yeah.
That's why he's known for just like being this beast that is fast at the same time. I like him, but that's a tier 2 of running backs this year.
Yeah.
So you're talking about in that tier 2 is Derrick Henry, Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Etienne, Kyren Williams, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, and Rashard White. So there's a couple of players out there that.
And this is the great thing about fantasy football. When you think about the Baltimore Ravens offense, and you have Lamar Jackson, like a potential league MVP, Derrick Henry, wide receivers are Say Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, and a tight end Mark Andrews. Who is gonna get the bulk of the touchdowns this year?
Right.
And it's if your bet is on Derrick Henry getting all those touches in the red zone, then what do you do with Lamar Jackson? How low do you drop him on your draft day? And this is what I love about this season. This season is unlike the last 5 years. There's so many variables. Who knows? It's actually
San Diego.
Happen,
we were talking about that earlier. That team with a new coach, the way he turns around programs, you know what? You might want to be grabbing out of them running backs and tight ends for that team because he's going to pound the rock and he's going to hit them tight ends on the play action. He's going to play Michigan football there, what worked for him. Yep. And he dumped the 2 highest receivers, so he's obviously got a plan in mind. And they got a good tight ends. That's one thing I'd be looking at too is some of these coaching changes. What are they going to do? What is their plan with these players?
Sorry.
that being said, let's go. Why don't we talk about our tiers? Who do we think it's top tiers in quarterback, running back, wide receiver? Why don't we go by positions and kind of like go through those in order to help our friends here, our listeners in Fantasy Deporte.
Before we move along, I want to know, in your fantasy league, Frank, were there any big disputes between people anytime?
There's always
like some uncomfortableness over there. Some relationships took a hit.
Yeah, one of the guys, he got kicked out 2 years ago because 3 years in a row in the draft there was always a big dispute about my computer crash, my this, my that. It was always some big excuse with these picks. It was always in the third or fourth round. It was never up front, but it just got to be like an annual thing. It was like, well, bro, just go get on a hard line. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have problems every year, and it just was there's some stuff like that.
So he got kicked 3 years, you said?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
But the guy was like, I'll be back, or,
no, we're done. We're done with him. We're moving on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
was he asking to stop in the middle of the draft, like stop the clock?
it was, I didn't really mean to pick that guy. The thing timed out. My phone dropped or whatever, And he always wanted, like, we're not going to go back on the draft. We're fine, But it was always every year just this big drama, and it was like nobody wanted to put up with it.
So did you ever went back and gave him
no?
So
but then he complained all year long.
So you basically let him do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, little wine with the cheese. Yeah.
So I have a good one for you. Listen, a couple of years ago, my friend, I'm gonna call it second place. He was going. He had the draft that night after just working or whatever. He was on his way to his house, and he calls his wife, and he tells her, "Hey, my draft is about to start. Go into my computer, log on, and pick McCoy." Right? So his wife doesn't know, I guess, anything about football. She goes into the computer, logs on, and there you go. First pick, she picks McCoy. He gets home, he looks at his phone, and she picked Colt McCoy instead of LeSean McCoy with the first pick. Oh. Fantasy can take you to extremes. I don't, they survive after that one. I love you guys. So I just wanted to bring that up because I want to record that moment. Colt McCoy was in his team. My friend was like, "Dude, I didn't pick that guy."
Right.
Sorry, man. Colt McCoy it is. Oh man, Colt McCoy as your first pick overall. Yikes! Like, you just lost the first day.
Yeah, it's it. Just calling a weekend.
I'm surprised he finished second.
But Colt McCoy actually played that year, but you can see the next day the waivers, like those dudes that the next day of the draft are already made 10 moves because it happens in all the the leagues. His first pick dropped.
Wow.
Crazy, right? So be careful out there, guys. Be careful. Make sure that you are asking the right person to, step in for the draft. But it's just that was something really not great for my man. Second place right there. I mean third place. You got third place. So I was thinking, something that is really tough for me because I can get injured. But Let's review these tiers that El Señor Rob already had over here. Let's go tier 1 for quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. Is there any of these players you guys would actually pick in the first round?
I honestly, this year, I ain't drafting none of these guys. Honestly, I'm gonna wait for that breakout quarterback star. Maybe 6th, 7th, 8th round.
Okay.
I know, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Hurts, Jackson, they're coming out in the 4th, 5th round. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for that quarterback run. And again, it all depends on the league you're playing. I'm interested in seeing what Frank and his league has been together for a while. They've been drafting for a while. Where's that quarterback run happening in your league? Which round?
We go running back hard, and so we're a bunch of old guys who are still stuck back in the old generation. So
give me that running back.
It goes running back pretty hard. Usually the first quarterback's not taken until maybe late second round, early third on any given year. And I'm kind of with you. If depending on how it's laying out for me or whatever, I mostly kind of just like, what's the difference between Jared Goff and Mahomes and points in a year? It's probably not a make or break, life changing thing, right? Versus what you might get at that spot. So I'm with you. You could kind of hold on a quarterback in this league.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Tier 1, you're securing any of those 4 quarterbacks. You're securing a top 10 quarterback, but that's all it means. It doesn't secure you a top quarterback. I think in year after year you'll see that the number 1 quarterback is, in a rare case, they rarely repeat. From year to year. So, all you're doing, unless you're picking first, and then on that second turn, or your third piece, you want to go with Mahomes, or you're picking second, or maybe 12, and then in that third round, you're looking at, you have consecutive picks, and then going Hurts,
right,
and maybe, going with a quarterback wide receiver or quarterback tight end combo. I would wait this year, but it all depends where you're drafting and your league.
Look at this. In the rounds 5th and 6th, you can still get C.J. Stroud and Joe Burrows. Those are great values. Joe Burrows coming back, looking healthy, doing pasarela, and I don't know if you guys saw him modeling and stuff. He's ready to go. The guy is ready to go. And then in the tier 3, that is from rounds to 7 through 9, you can actually start seeing also good quarterbacks that will be effective and productive for your fantasy team. Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Anthony Richardson. That's on rounds 7 and 9.
Right, and as much as I hate to say it as a Lions fan, Jordan Love is going to take a step up this year, right? He's going to do.
Lions fan is saying that.
And hate that's in my division. Green Bay has a quarterback that's good for 40 years in a row. It's BS, but truthfully, he's going to get better. And so that might be a good value pick that you probably might get.
Absolutely.
He might, exceed expectations and end up being a top 4 quarterback at the end of the year.
And, it's good for you that you're a Detroit Lions fan, because in the tier 5 of quarterbacks in the rounds 11 and plus, there's your boy Jared Goff, bro. There's your boy Jared Goff right there waiting for you.
And listen, as I was telling Rob earlier, a lot of the guys and folks we play with on my current league, it's morphed over the years. A lot of Michigan-born folks, and so these Lions go early. So Goff will go earlier than probably he normally would. Yeah. But, you got Stafford sitting there. You got people that are going to throw 25 points on the board for you every week and throw a couple big games up there. And, you never know who's going to get hot. Never know whose knee's going to blow out. So, quarterback to me is, I just don't see the need to reach for it.
I agree with you. I am, I'm honestly, this is going to be a homer. And I'm just going to come out and say, whatever. I don't care. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid from my man, Jaden Daniels from my Commanders, baby. He's going as the ADP quarterback 11. And if you didn't pick Murray, go ahead. Look at Jaden Daniels out there, because I'm telling you, I think there is a lot of potential in here for his running. Is just unique. His style. He avoids getting tackled. Daniel ran the ball 135 times for 1134 yards and 10 touchdowns last year in college. I know. This is not college. Stop it. But still, like we've seen this before. We've seen how these young crops are going up and just showing what they can do. I feel that there might be a very high ceiling with this with this player right here. And
but question here. So you follow that team. How good is that offensive line? Because that is very key to a rookie quarterback's success.
Absolutely, and that's why they improved it this year by getting free agents and making the necessary trades. I feel that the Commanders have a very strong line.
Okay.
And adding Austin Eckler to that offense, he's going to be a pass catcher. So now you have Austin Eckler back there, and the defense is going to be maybe looking at him. Jalen Daniels can run or just do just get the ball to Austin Eckler, I think, and then you have a deep threat in McLaurin.
Right,
so
right.
it's I like what I see. I've been down with this franchise for a while. I mean, Detroit. We get our pains. I understand you. So, finally I can see some kind of light at the end of the tunnel. I'm excited. I'm excited about him. And you can get him like back in the back 9 rounds.
Right,
it's just crazy. So I'm not saying go and pick him up or, have your draft be around him, but put him in your radar.
Spoken as a true Commanders fan. I have to admire your faith on a rookie quarterback in a team that haven't really done much in the last few years, but it's your team. I'm going to respect that.
New owner,
new owner, and I know that a lot, like 90% of the Commander fans out there feel the same way. So good for you, Manny. Like keep praying. I light some candles. It's going to be your year. Super Bowl or bust, baby. I have to say this year it's definitely like entertaining.
Give me this. Yo, talk to me about that first round, first tier. Christian McCaffrey, Brees Hall, Bijan Robinson, or Jahmyr Gibbs?
There's not much to say. I think it's 101 is going to be Christian McCaffrey all the way. Whoever disagrees doesn't know what he's talking about. It's 100%. If you have the first pick in the first round, go Christian McCaffrey. If you don't, you will be regretting it. That guy is an all-time Hall of Famer, probably the best running back we've seen in the last 20 years. After, obviously, my friend here would say Barry Sanders.
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, you can't pass on it with.
One thing I wanted to say about the quarterbacks: if you are patient and you can wait enough, last tier of quarterbacks. Who do you have? You have Herbert under a new offense. You have Kirk Cousins in Atlanta.
Yep.
A lot more weapons than he had in Minnesota.
Yep. Cuzzy Wuzzy.
Yeah. Matthew Stafford.
Yep.
Hell of a wide receiver corps over in LA.
It's Coop.
Yep. Trevor Lawrence. If you're a fan of the Jaguars, you might believe he had a down year last year. Jared Goff. And I think he's terribly underrated. Terribly underrated. Yep. Aaron Rodgers. If healthy, really? Tier 5? Deshaun Watson. And then Will Levis, who has a hell of an arm over there in Tennessee with a whole sort of weapons. I got to say, I don't know. I think this is the year where you want to wait on a quarterback. I love Anthony Richardson in tier 3, round 7. But if you do pick Anthony Richardson, make sure to get an insurance policy. Go pick one of those quarterbacks in tier 5 as your second to last or last pick. Injury concerns, they're pretty high over there. But I love this quarterback class this year. It's freaking great. You definitely can be patient.
Aaron Rodgers is returning from an Achilles injury with 40 years. Do you think that's gonna gonna matter. He's gonna put 3 touchdowns, 300 every week.
Dude, that dude is a witch. He's fucking crazy. He can do whatever he wants.
Hey, watch out your language.
You know, he's crazy. I mean, I don't ever doubt Aaron Rodgers. Like, his self belief is like can like push mountains, man. I don't ever doubt a guy like that. You know, if somebody's gonna come out of an injury like that and perform even at above average NFL quarterback level, it's Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying he's gonna end up top 10.
No, this guy is a waiver pickup in week 4 type of dude.
Let's see. I mean, I trust him. I Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, that defense of the Jets. He doesn't have to do that much. If he has game manager,
he's not going to have the stats. That's what I think for fantasy, right? Is going to be the trouble with him.
Yeah,
he's going to be a game manager and not have to really throw 3 touchdowns and 350 yards.
He's free. Put it that way. He's free. He's out there. He's a good quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
You know, obviously. I mean, there's a lot of them over there that are really, really, really good. So, but 40 years in Achilles, that just scares me, man. So let's move on in here. Let's talking about the first pick, Christian McCaffrey. You know, Rob said the guy had 417 touches between the regular season and the postseason. 400 touches must be a red flag for a running back, right? Like, that's
with the way
a lot of miles in those legs,
right? But with the way you see him work out on the internet and what he seems to be doing, he's still below 30, which seems to be the spot where they fall off the cliff. I still think he's got monster year ahead of him. I mean, there's always a chance for an injury for everybody, but he's a guy that works super hard to be in the position he is.
Yeah, and it's not that he's working extra hard this season. This guy has been working harder
Right.
than most
Forever,
since high school. Even earlier, man. This is not a matter of how much work he put in this summer. It's every summer since he was 16. This guy's a different type of beast.
Right. Yep, agree.
Well, I am happy to say that the Washington Commanders drafted his brother, and he's a wide receiver. Let's go! Wait.
Oh!
That's what I'm talking about this year, baby. Let's go. But, okay, so Christian McCaffrey, first, 101. I hear a lot of buzz about B.J. Robinson, Bryce Hall. You know, they have a bigger. Do they have a bigger upside? What's going on? Like, a lot of the draft that I've seen, actually, B.J. Robinson is the one taking that 101. I mean, don't get me wrong. Christian McCaffrey is the 101 every week if he's out there. Problem is, I just feel there's so many miles in those legs. It's just. And I see this kid, B.J. Robinson, and I mean that looks like a pick you can trust on the first round, right? Or no? Am I wrong?
I took him last year. I think I can look it up, but it might be in the 6 or 7 or 8 overall, and he was pretty vanilla. So I can't imagine taking him second. I got it that Cousins is there, and they got some other weapons now, and he might have a sophomore kick, but I guess from personal experience, I feel like I blew out my first pick last year, and I'm not sure I would take him at 2. I might take him again at 6 or 7, but I don't know. I'd take him at 2.
When I look at tier 1, you got McCaffrey, Hall, Robinson, and Gibbs, right? And McCaffrey, San Francisco, proven. Top 5 running back. You got Hall. He's going to be good. He's going to be top 10. But is that Jets offense going to be explosive as San Francisco or other offenses in the NFL? I don't think so. I think it's going to be just above average and definitely top 10. Bijan Robinson, I consider him like having his rookie year, this year. Last year, Mr. Arthur Smith, made sure that, that whole Atlanta offense was just, a circus. That was a clown show. So he definitely, I think, will improve on his stats from last year. It's just that, the certainty of, okay, what is he actually going to do? Top 10? Probably, for sure. And then you got Gibbs and that Lions offense.
Interesting.
I think, Frank, tell me about Gibbs. Tell me about Gibbs.
I mean, obviously super explosive and went on harder and harder as the year went on last year, and is going to be, I think, super explosive again. But Montgomery is a beast as well. He is likely to get the goal line carries, so he's gonna get snaked on some touchdowns, I think. But he's going to be a huge focal point of the Lions offense, which moves the ball around, right? They're doing passes, runs. They're one of the teams that run the most. So Gibbs is definitely going to get touches. I'm a little afraid he might get hawked on a couple of the touchdowns he might normally get.
I would say PPR league, Gibbs on top of Robinson or Hall.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah?
I do, because I think he's going to get 50 to 60 balls this year.
So, an interesting stat from Jahmyr Gibbs. When David Montgomery came back from his rib injury, Jahmyr Gibbs was averaging just 11 carries per game.
Yeah. I mean,
so, isn't that, going to factor in?
I mean, but Gibbs is their future, so they've invested in him for the long term, right? He's rolling up. I think this is Montgomery's last year on contract, or certainly the last guaranteed year, so I think that the ratio will start switching where Gibbs will get the majority of the carries, but Montgomery's not a bad running back.
What I would say is if you draft Gibbs, be patient. Could be that at the beginning of the year you see the same trend as last year. As the year goes along, He'll get more touches. He will be getting the bulk of his touchdowns. Later on the season, when the Lions are positioning themselves as a playoff team, they want to rest Montgomery, older legs, and they're going to be using Gibbs more. So I think it's a player that, at the beginning, don't panic. Just trust the process. Later on this year, I think Gibbs will really show you who he is.
That's a good point.
That's a great point. I want to bring another thing in here before we move on from the running backs. Because we're in Florida, I want to talk about my boys down there at the Miami Dolphins. A-Chain. So you saw what A-Chain did last year. Very explosive runner. Excellent contact balance for such a small back. He catches passes. I don't know. Are you willing to draft him so high in the beginning of the second round, around this team? I don't know if he's going to get 20 touches or per game. I mean, I know the guy is explosive, but is he going to finish, is he going to give you that value back? Is he going to finish in between the first 10? I don't know. The efficiency statistics say so. But I don't know. We saw flashes of greatness, but we didn't saw it throughout the season.
For me personally, that guy can win a week or 2 or 3 weeks for you. And a lot of folks cannot do that. And he might get injured or whatever, but there's a lot of people that get injured and never win a week for you. That guy can win a week for you, and that team is going to be, and like Manny, you talked about it. We were talking earlier, it's going to be a shootout every week, right? Their defense is weakened this year, so they're going to have to go hard. That guy is involved in the offense. It's an explosive offense. So, I would not be scared to take him in the second round. I mean, I think that's depending on where everything lies, but I think that's a great pick.
Now, as a Finns fan here, I mean, I would take that guy 101, but I don't draft. I don't draft with my heart. I think there is a definitely 101. No, it's that would be my heart, but my mind says there's a lot of injury concerns there. So I personally would not draft him as my quarterback, my running back 1. Okay. Now, if I am going, I'm instead of if I'm sagging and taking 2 running backs in the first couple of rounds, I wouldn't mind him as my second quarterback, my second running back. I go running back in the first round, running back in the second round, because as Frank was saying, he can win you a week, and that's what you want. You want those explosive players. Right. Now, injury concerns there. If you draft him as a running back 1, and he gets hurt, he's out for 4 or 5 weeks. you're going to have a tough time because you're drafting him in the first 3 rounds.
This is what you're gonna be saying.
Los bendigo. In nomine Patris, Filii, and Spiritus Sancti.
Amen. So, I mean, you look at the tier here where he's at with, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Kyron Williams, Travis Etienne, Isaiah Pacheco, which I think he's a sleeper. Definitely wouldn't mind having him. Derrick Henry, again, we can talk about him for hours. And Devon A-Chain. I would wait. I think from that tier 2, tier 3, he would be my lowest ranked quarterback. And that's coming from a fence, man. I wish I was wrong. I wish that guy, would end up just shutting me up and just finishing as the running back 101.
Hey, you getting controversial today, my man. You like.
Oh,
You like throw it to the window. You're getting wild here. All right, so good. Let's move on a little bit right here. Let's go to White.
What happened?
Oh, okay. So you want to talk about that tier 3, don't you?
Yeah.
You look like you want to talk about that tier 3. All right.
Because I think tier 3, that's where like the league winning running backs are gonna come from. If you go wide receiver in the first and second round, right? And you can then draft Jacobs, James Cook, or Alvin Kamara, you're gonna have yourself a good year. What do you think, Frank?
I agree with you. It just never falls that way for me. I'm always taking running backs early, so I would say that. But yes, you can't go wrong with those 3. I would agree with you. If you get, and I can totally see, depending on where you lie, if you get 2 stud receivers, like you said, any of those 3, you're freaking high fiving. That's got to be, you're off to the races there.
I don't know, man. This Alvin Kamara thing kind of makes me a little bit nervous. I think the rookie running back that they drafted is going to have a little bit more of that workload than everyone anticipates. Miller. And I feel this is a whole new system. Alvin Kamara, he's been there for a while now. And, listen, he's on the tier 3, round 3. Alvin Kamara, I will take James Cook over Alvin Kamara. I'll take A-Chain over Alvin Kamara. And you can call me crazy if you want, but I think Alvin Kamara is going to go a down year. So let's move to the wide receivers here because I'm very interested in hear what Frank has to say because the tier 1 there is a very special player for him. He tells me that he has a picture in his room of him. His name is Amon-Ra St. Brown from the Detroit Lions. Round 1, tier 1. We're looking at C.D. Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I ask you, Frank, what is that for real?
So, for sure. You look at Jefferson. He's gonna be dealing with what quarterback? So Amon-Ra, if you look at his stats year to year, this guy catches more and more balls. He is the number 1 go-to option on a very good offense. If you're in a PPR league, you're nuts not to take that guy up front.
Would you take him over Tyreek Hill?
I wouldn't take him over Lamb or Hill, but I would take him over Jefferson or Chase.
Okay.
So yeah, Tyreek Hill was one of those guys. When he signed that contract, I called my brother and said, I can't believe they're going to pay that guy $50. He's earned every freaking penny of that contract. That guy, with everybody knowing he's going to get the ball, that's a bad man. So kudos to him. You can't not take him if he's available.
No, and I agree. Tyreek Hill is the first wide receiver, out in my draft. I have the option, but I'm on Sam Brown, man. Definitely my second wide receiver coming out. There is no safer pick.
I agree with that.
I think in the first round than I'm on Sam Brown. I think the guy is just amazing. This year the Lions are going to be better than they were last year. And in terms of injury concerns, I think Sam Brown is just like a safer bet than Hill or anything else. Just durability and all. I love Sam Brown. I wouldn't even mind if you're a conservative player and you actually drafted Sam Brown before Hill. And I love Hill. I love Hill.
I don't think that's a hot take.
I love Hill, but the injury concern, one more year, he's getting older, and nobody, as Biden is finding out, nobody beats Father Time.
Uncle Joe.
Uncle Joe. Yeah, I can see that happening. But Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Amon Ra, A.J. Brown, Gary Wilson, and Puka Nacua, that a lot of people just pick up Puka from the waivers. And you know what? What is the most great thing about it? That we said in Fantasy Deporte, pick up Puka.
Hey.
Pick up Puka. Búscalo en los waivers. And you know what? It paid off big time. Right now, he's in the tier 1. I think the guy is going to get the work. He's going to be amazing. So, Puka Nacua, hey, don't feel... it feels weird if you're going to pick up that high, right? Because last year was just a waiver guy. But don't feel weird about it. Do it. No, guys, I want to ask you something. This Marvin Harrison guy, like everyone's talking about him, and all the experts put him in the top of the tier 2, and his ADP is just basically round 2. So talk to me about him. Somebody, please make reason of this, because he is just making so many noise out there.
Bro, this guy is a different type of dog. He's a show dog, He has pedigree. His dad, one of the greatest wide receivers ever. His work ethic, his demeanor, like everybody raves about him. I think this is one guy since day one. He's just going to perform since week 1. I mean, I wish I can have if I can draft him, I definitely go for that. That's one of those players where, if you're going 2 wide receivers in first round, second round, you can't go wrong with him as a second wide receiver. Everything that scouts are saying or from draft day is just he has the demeanor, he has the work ethic, and more importantly, he's humble. You know what his dad did, man. I no doubts. This guy definitely, top of my draft. Don't mind him at all. Drafting him in the back of the second round.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. I'm a Michigan fan, so I've seen this guy a ton. He has probably been the best player in college football for sure last year, maybe in the last 2 years. This guy will immediately transfer to be, I think, a top 5 wide receiver. I think he's that good. So, yeah, I mean, it's really, can they get the ball to the guy? That's how I think. He's going to score touchdowns. He's going to make hard catches. He's going to get yards after the catch. There's nothing this guy can't do.
And Jamal Murray has proven that he can carry a number 1 wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. And this guy's going to be more explosive. Remember, like when Jamal Murray had DeAndre Hopkins for that first year,
Kyler
Murray,
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
We had Hopkins that first year. He was still, he was aging already. This guy's just brand new,
right,
brand new toy for Kyler Murray. And you got to trust them with that new offense they're implementing over there. Mike Bride as tight end. I mean, James Conner. Arizona, definitely a sleeper team for me in order to heading to the airports. That offense, it can't surprise us for sure.
Yeah. Tough division for them is the problem.
My pride is there too. Beautiful. So talk to me about getting a little bit deep into the wide receivers waddle, because I'm very curious about what can we expect from him this year. We saw already how many Tyreek Hill touches or receptions he took from him. He had three 1,000 yard season, and 2 of those playing with Tyreek Hill. He cleared the 1,000 yard bar, even missing 3 games last year, which is amazing. His efficiency numbers show that, he's great. 10.7 yards per target. Oh my God. Over the last 2 years while playing with Tyreek Hill. So again, playing with Tyreek Hill, even though he is sharing that offense with him, he's still eating. And, I feel like Frank said that the defense of the Dolphins these are going to be shootouts.
Right.
They're going to have a tough year, so they're going to be, pushed to just throw the ball all the time. So is Waddle somebody that I am looking for this year in my drafts?
I definitely think that guy's a great, if you can get him somehow in the third or fourth kind of area. I mean, he's going to get the yards because, like you said, they're going to just be throwing the ball. And he's going to get his share of touchdowns. I mean, that's an explosive offense, and Tyreek Hill directs so much traffic towards him. You're wide open. So with his talent, I just think it's hard not to make those yards and those numbers for us.
Let me ask you, Rob, would you prefer drafting Tyreek Hill at the top of the draft or Waddle later on in the draft? Well, which one?
Well, I'm gonna choose to see that question as if I have a top 5 pick, do I take Hill, knowing that in the second and third round I have a good shot of taking Waddle? In that case, I would prefer Waddle for sure. I think that positions me in a better spot to take one of those high running backs. I can go like running back, wide receiver in that case.
Right.
Just because, again, Tyreek Hill, one more year, injury concerns, and he's such a crucial player for the Finns that, any nick, they're going to sit him down knowing that, his agent is healthy. If they have the rest of the team healthy, they don't really need him to win against, the Patriots or, one of those other teams in that division, not named the Bills, because I wouldn't even consider the Jets contenders until they prove it, right? Until Aaron Rodgers proves that he can actually move. So, again, it all depends where your draft position is. Now, if you're picking, fourth, fifth, and Hill happens to sixth, and Hill happens to drop to you, then Hill is a no-brainer.
Yeah, you got it.
If you're picking in the middle, middle being fourth, fifth, sixth pick, and Hill drops to you, a lot of people love Justin Jefferson. Just he might go ahead. I would definitely take Hill. It all depends where you're picking, but definitely if you're picking second or third, where Hill should be available, I would then maybe shift to a Bijan or Jamar Gibbs, and then go wide receiver.
So, guys, we're running out of time here. I want to know really quickly one player that is going to be the breakout this season. Tell me. Give me a name. Really quickly. Bang.
Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta will be number 1 tight end.
Oh, now that's not bad.
I don't even think Kelsey breaks the top 5 in tight ends. That's my hot take.
Wow. Write that down. Write it down. Producer. Write that down.
July 11th.
Rob, what do you got?
I got two. If you're looking for a later round running back, Chase Brown, the Cincinnati Bengals, I think that's a value pick. And then, just looking at my list here, I think Frank mentioned him earlier. I think Jordan Love is going to be a star. It's about time. The weapons are there. He might surprise you. Jordan Love.
He could have a Lamar type breakout season when he broke out. Remember that? That's what I think he might be.
Because this time, Josh Jacobs as his running back, a motivated Josh Jacobs 2 years ago with the Raiders, he had a hell of a season. If he can run like he ran for the Raiders 2 years ago, Love is going to have a field day, 1-1 all game long. They're gonna have to stack the box, and then the Packers, and it's just going to be like cover one or man all the way, and it's just
they got a good D. As a Lions fan, I do not take them lightly at all.
Wow, what? No, man. This is. What are you saying? That you're scared of the Packers?
No, I said I don't take it lightly.
Tell him.
No punk ass cheesehead.
Look, like Mike Tyson said.
Spinal.
Right. That's what you give him. That's what you give him. I'm gonna go with my league neighbors here really quickly. The wide receiver for the New York Giants, and I just have something a feeling about this guy. The Giants threw the ball 518 times last year, and behind this wide receiver, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of offense, honestly, now without Saquon Barkley. And he will at least earn 25% of the targets in that offense. I don't know. I mean, 25% in that offense is the same as 130 targets, which would put you as the wide receiver number 19 last year. So, even though, it's like, you're going to chase the volume or you're going to chase the talented player. I think this guy has a big ceiling. All right. So, dudes, I think we went over. And it's just so much fun in here with you guys. So, hey, before I leave, are you a trade kind of guy? Do you do a lot of trades in your league?
No. They get offered to me every week. I'm the kind of guy that rides his draft out for at least the first 3 weeks. I don't change who I thought should have been the players, and then I start moving around, and I might do a little low level draft, but I don't believe in the big swaps.
Are you the kind of guy that, when you receive a trade that you don't think is fair, you go like, what the hell this guy thinks he is? Mere, cabrón. Do you feel like that?
I do, yeah. They're asking,
Yeah.
for your stud running back for two chump tight ends.
So you're like, what the, dude, I want to slap you in the face. I mean, that trade right there is just stupid, huh? Yeah, I bet you, Rob. It did happen to him. I saw it with my own eyes.
I gotta share my approach to trades because this is a very sensitive area for me. I hate leagues where people don't trade. I'm like, I want to ask every fantasy player out there, like, why do you play fantasy football? You play to win, or you play to be one of the bunch? If my strategy is, if I know that my team is not able to get to that fantasy championship weekend, then you got to take your shot. You have to do that trade that might look lopsided, whatever, but that can make a difference. So I like leagues where people are willing to take a risk, because I don't play fantasy football to finish 6th, 5th, and 4th and just come hobbling into the playoffs and get kicked out in the first round. I play fantasy football for that first and second prize. That's where the money is. I just love it in leagues where people play like that, and you got a lot more action. So, baby, it's championship or bust for me.
Are you trading if you're winning?
Oh.
If you're one of the first or second place in your league, would you trade on week 6?
It all depends. Because if I have players that are overperforming because of the schedule, or because of team circumstances during the first half of the year, and then I look at my bye weeks, my opponents during the playoffs, by week 10, if you know you're going to make the playoffs, by week 10, you got to start planning for those playoff weeks, right? So if you have the chance to trade one of your top performers for players who have a more favorable playoff schedule, or don't have a bye week, at the last 4 weeks in the season, I say go ahead, because you already made the playoffs, right? You're not whoever gets the most points in the season. In very few leagues, they pay a bonus up for that. Again, it's about the championship. So if you're in the playoffs, you work hard, so that you make a good draft. Start of the season, you're strong. Once you hit that week 10, week 11, week 12, you got to start preparing yourself for the playoffs.
Well, Rob, I'm gonna take your advice this year, because I'm usually more conservative, but I'm gonna mix it up a little more this year. See if that leads to a championship.
Yo, you can ask us as Fantasy Deporte, and we will help you out. That easy, for free, man.
Well, maybe after the draft, I'll come in here and we can talk draft after we all have our drafts.
Well, actually, we should.
No, because the interesting thing is, I mean, it's only July 11th. You know, there's a lot.
Oh,
you know, we
yeah,
got
yeah.
training camps. You got the drama. Of training
There's 10
camps.
knees ready to blow out the next month.
Yeah. You got the preseason games. You know, all these picks and tiers. There's just like, you know, with information basically from last year.
I remember Joe Burrow all of a sudden hurt his ankle at the end of, right there late. I mean, a lot of stuff changes there. That's why we always draft on Labor Day.
So, Manny, you know, thank you for having us. And if you want to do it again, you know, after the preseason games, after our drafts, we would love to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
JP, I hope you're having fun in Korea, motherfucker. I know there's a little Asian girl holding the umbrella for you.
All right, that will be it for this week. Thank you guys for being here with me. This has been an awesome time. This has been a great experience. Thank you to all of you out there for listening this week. And like always, you can expect us every week with the fantasy information for you. Información fantastística. Yo. Por el Rob. Espérate.
There we go.
You want to say something else?
I just want to say thank you, Manny. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate the time. East Side.
That being said, por el Rob.
Por el Manny.
No, todavía. Por el tío Frank. Por el Manny. Disfruten su béisbol. Uy, acá.
Boom.
Ah.